Welcome back to our Bloodthirster blog, everybody. Had a bit of a snafu with this project. My goal was to put out a video about every week with this, giving you some thoughts about the painting process. However, I had a family medical emergency which pushed everything back by about a month. So decided to change how we're going to do this project because it's been sitting around for way too long. We're going to finish it up in 2 videos going over kind of all the accessories here and then getting to the skin and wings in our final part. Starting off today with his skull undies, as I choose to call them. Starting off with I gave him a wash of Vallejo Model Color Camo Black Brown, and now we are going with a dry brush mix of Camo Medium Brown and Olive Brown. Then over this we are going to dry brush our highlight, which is a mix of Medium Brown and English Uniform. 2 things about this area of the model. First of all, decided to go with kind of a darker color, not too dark, but this is definitely not a bone white, because I didn't want to draw the viewer's eye too much to his, as I called it, skull undies. So painting a slightly darker color makes it stand out a little bit less. So we kind of have a medium tone here rather than a bright white tone. The second thing is I'm painting all this one color, all the skulls are one color, as opposed to the skulls on the arms where I used multiple colors. Going with one color here because it's such a busy pattern, too many colors just makes it that much harder to see. So I need to simplify the paint scheme here so you can actually see what he's wearing. Just to note, I am not painting the teeth on all the skulls because I am not insane. Also, again, that would, I think, draw too much attention to the skulls if we start having splashes of white in all these different little skulls. They are connected by little metal rings, which I did go back and paint using a very dark metal color. Moving on to the axe, and for this we are going to use a modified version of the True Metal non-metallic technique. So we are mixing our metallic paints with non-metallic paints to add some color to them and to remove some of the metallic sheen, starting out with a base coat using 4 colors you see on your screen. And my thought here, color-wise, was I consider this guy kind of like the Prince of Hell or something like that. He's a demon of high standing, so I actually wanted a very clean axe. That's why I'm going with the TMNT technique here. I wanted something very bright and shiny and clean looking. Also, going with blues and purples helps to tie the axe into our very heavy blue armor. So bring that little bit of color down into the base really helps to just balance the whole piece. After applying our colored washes, we go back to our highlights. As we work on the highlights, we decrease the amount of non-metallic paint mixed in with our nice steel color. So as the paint becomes lighter, it actually becomes brighter and shinier as well because the metallic is more pure. Also, I did try adding some striations to the axe, which is one thing I honestly struggle with. I still haven't found a decent way to do that with metallic paints. I've tried a few different tricks online, and yeah, I got to come up with a method of my own to do it properly. Didn't look too bad here, but definitely could use a bit of work. Also, just like with our brass trim on the other armor bits, once the gold is placed, then I'm going to give this thing a very dark wash in the recesses to edge the area between the blade and the trim very nicely. Now here's where things start getting a little bit wonky. Starting off with dry brushing the base, which I didn't record because it's very basic dry brushing. Started off with a heavy coat of neutral gray mixed with some Oxford blue, and then I dry brushed neutral gray, and then I continued to add more and more ghost gray to the neutral gray as we got to our highlights. Next comes painting by hand the 37,000 skulls that are on the base. I felt that these skulls were just too prominent. I couldn't hide them like I did the skulls on the underwear. So I did hand paint all these, and I used 3 different colored skulls, and I did put 4 layers on each. Did it take time? Oh God, yes. The colors used here is a bit random. Some of the skulls I made a lighter color, some I made more brown, and some have a tinge of green. So basically just a broader, wider version of what we used on the armor skull trim bits. Now here is where the skull hits the fan and I buggered up quite bigly. I felt that the cold gray of the base and the blue in the axe caused them to kind of just get lost. It needed something to punch up or separate the two visually. I was going to repaint the axe, and then I decided to do kind of a, I don't know, Hadouken type effect with not really an OSL magma coming out of the ground where the axe is striking it, but more just an energy surge. I really wanted to do kind of a lightning effect, but that would be adding more blue and we'd run into the same problem, so I decided to go with red. So my idea was to kind of dry brush wash in some red color over the dark gray, which make it very dull, and then put on a thin layer of white and then reapply the red so it would be the same colored red, so it would be brighter over the white. In theory, that would work. However, I didn't wait long enough for the white to dry, and when I put the next color on, it peeled up the white, and I kept trying to apply more, and then I started peeling up the gray, and I just made a huge mess of the base. I also kept adding more and more red, so my red continued to spread. I was going to strip it and just kind of start again. However, I kept playing with it, allowing more dry time this time, and I managed to create something that kind of worked using layers of orange and yellow. I had to use washes. There's also the big problem of it's just a very hard area to reach, trying to get inside the middle of the base with this explosion and this big model in the way. And it's also very difficult to record in here as well. I know you can't see much, more so when the camera doesn't focus correctly. I did manage to save the base. I think the color was a lot more spread out than what I initially wanted, but I think it does work. The point of it being is adding a bit of color to the base, breaking up all that blue and gray. For that purpose, it definitely works. It just, I ended up doing it the much more difficult way than what I should have done. And there we go. That is what we have on our Not a Bloodthirster done so far. Things were going pretty good until I got to the base. Thought I was going to have to start from scratch, but I managed to piece it together. The other option would have been is I was going to repaint the axe and go with red. That would have worked as well. Go for more of a lava-y sort of axe. But I did like the still the thematic effect of a clean, shiny axe. So I think this actually ended up working better, but that would have been another option. So anyway, one more part wings and our skin redux, and we'll be done with our Bloodthirster. Thanks for watching.
I'm the god of hellfire. I god of hellfire.